Welcome back for another video. Game Week 4 was full of highs and lows. Who are the best players to buy this week as we look ahead to Game Week 5 then? Let's break it down by position and discuss all the best players. As a word of warning, there's a ton of midweek football this week, so the advisable thing to do is to make your moves after the games. There's League Cup and Champions League football before the deadline. The likes of Liverpool, Man City and Arsenal all play before Game Week 5. So let's start off with the keepers then. This week Alisson's top with 4 projected points. A shock defeat last game week at Anfield, conceding their first goal of the season, losing 1-0 to Forest. If you fancy a 1 week pick and goal before wildcarding, it needs to stand out. Longer term, Edison's top of all the keepers for the next 5 with 19.6 points. Wright doesn't make the table this week given they face Man City, but it's worth pointing out that he's on 19.4 for the next 5, so they're basically dead even. My preference is actually Raya long term, though there is a ton of value in the Arsenal outfield assets like Gabriel, Saka and Havertz, where with Man City there's less likely to be 3 outfield you want. But Bruggen's second on the table this week, delivered a clean sheet last game week and he did get booked, which meant he wasn't near any bonus points, 5 pointer for him. Brighton have conceded 4.4 expected goals so far over the opening 4 game weeks, which ranks 6th, behind Liverpool, City, Forest, Arsenal and Fulham. So Forest deserve mention then, given they're 3rd for expected goals conceded and they have played away at Liverpool, keeping a clean sheet there. Sales is still 4.5 mil, doesn't quite make the table this week because they're away at Brighton, he's on 3.3 points. For the next 5, he's on 16.7, so he is tied with Verbruggen here. If I was buying a keeper this week, my pick would actually be Flecken for 4.5 mil. Away at Spurs, which isn't ideal this week, but after that they've got 3 home games in the 4 that follow, and he's top of the budget keepers for projected points over the next 5 with 17.1. Is anyone out there mad enough to go for Pickford then? I mean, you've got to expect Dyche to turn it around at some point, and they've got very good fixtures on the horizon, starting with Leicester in Game Week 5. 4.9 mil is pricey though. He'll drop to 4.8 mil before the deadline. Moving on to defenders then. This week, Trent and Robertson the top 2 with 5 and 4.7 points respectively. Liverpool have got a point to prove here after their last result, especially playing home once again. So don't sell your Liverpool assets whatever you do this week. Again, if you're looking for someone to buy for 1 week before wildcarding, one of the Liverpool fullbacks are strong contenders. A better looking fixture for Spurs this week who also have a point to prove. Porro's on 4.5 projected points playing home against Brentford. We discussed this in the transfer plans video and how his possible injury could affect their attack. It'll be a huge miss if he's out for a while. It looked like a horrible roll of the ankle, so some are fearing it could be a month or worse. 21 crosses by Porro this season, no defenders got more. 8 shots taken as well is the most of any defender. I prefer him over Udogie, who does also make the table, despite him costing 0.5 mil more than Udogie. Longer term, after Brentford, Spurs have got Man United, Brighton, West Ham and Palace, which isn't too bad. Dunk's on the table again, home to Forest this week, after a clean sheet last game week. Last week was the time to buy him really, because after this weekend they've got Chelsea, Spurs and Newcastle, who realistically not want to start him in any of those games. Vardio was a surprise benching in the bloodbath of Game Week 4. He's on the table here with 3.7 points. This one's a huge game against Arsenal, and he'll definitely start in my eyes. He was probably managing his minutes following Ake's injury on reflection, with Champions League and Arsenal to follow that match. It's an interesting point actually, that Ake injury on paper increased his appeal, but clearly Pep plans to manage him carefully, and he did use Lewis in left back, which also makes sense. He's given him some minutes there, so he does have a backup to Vardio still. I think that's the first time I've ever done a whole segment in one take. Let's move on to the midfielders then. This week Salah's well out in front, 7.7 points. If you didn't have him last game, he survived, but this week he's by far the best captain in my view. I'm hoping to see him get a rest in the Champions League, perhaps Chiesa gets his first minutes, but Mo is fully capable of playing every match. Son is second on the table. My issue with him is that he's being used as a wide winger at times when Solanke's in the team. He lacks the goal threat that you'd want for 10 mil, but if you've got him, unless you've got a path to sell him for Salah, you might as well give him the Brentford home fixture. Palmer had an unusually quiet game against Bournemouth, no shots taken, 0.03 expected goal involvement. Again, I'd keep him unless you've got route to Salah. 30.1 points for the next 5 for Salah, 29.9 for Palmer, so there's nothing between them obviously, though Salah does provide the superior captaincy this week. Bruno finally delivered his first returns of the season last match, long overdue, just the assist though, and he did get booked for a 5-pointer. It's a tougher matchup this week away at Palace, so you could sell him. Eze also makes the table for that game with 5.1 points. Disappointingly, Mateta took the penalty for Palace on the weekend, and Glasner said both Mateta and Eze on penalty duties, and they'll decide between them each time. It wouldn't be surprising if Mateta claims him every time, to be honest, unfortunately. A few budget mids that don't make the table then. Rodgers is on 4.4 points, Minte 4.2, McNeil 3.7 and Smith Rowe 3.5. Saka came off injured late in the North London derby, which is one to monitor if you've got him. Not that we'll likely get an honest answer from Arteta anyway. He didn't even rule out Ødegaard in the last match and he wasn't in the squad. Arsenal play on Thursday against Atalanta in the Champions League before they face Man City. Saka's assisted all but one of Arsenal's goals this season. Arsenal's away record in 2024 is ridiculous. 11 games played, 10 wins, 1 draw, 31 goals scored, just 3 conceded, 9 clean sheets, 0 minutes spent trailing a game. Is Bowen going under the radar? Only 6.1% owned, and his next 3 are Chelsea home, Brentford away, Ipswich home. He's returned in all of his last 3 games. Though if we compare him and Eze side by side here, they're projected to do similarly over the next 5, and Eze is 0.6 mil cheaper. Bumo for 7.1 mil, the best of the mid-price midfielders, but again there is that question mark surrounding Visser's injury. Onto the forwards, and captaincy could be an interesting one this week. We just talked about Arsenal's away record this year, but Haaland's got 9 goals in 4 games, so it seems crazy not to back him. But if there's ever a fixture to reconsider, it's got to be against Arsenal. Salah was on 7.7 points, Haaland 5.7, so there's a significant gap between the two of them. Solanke's second this week with 5.5 points. His first goal is only going to be a matter of time now. He had a decent couple of chances against Arsenal. I back Spurs to get going now, with a pretty good fixture run ahead to be honest. Watkins matched Haaland last game week for 6.3 mil cheaper with a brace himself, and they've also got a strong run ahead still. Wolves, Ipswich, Man United, Fulham and Bournemouth. Emery does have the Champions League to contend with though. We might see Duran getting starts in the Champions League and Watkins every league game. Maybe they'll share minutes Champions League. Duran's got 3 goals in 103 minutes of football, which is crazy in the league this season. He's got to be in a void though, because he's going to be named on the bench plenty still. So Isak came off early at half-time last match. He took a ball to the face and his nose was bleeding. House said after the game the issue was more his eye from the contact there. You'd expect him to be fine for Game Week 5 based on that. He's been a pretty unlucky pick when you step back and look at everything. There was the red card for sharing Game Week 1, though he still managed an assist. He blanked against Bournemouth Game Week 2, he scored against Spurs Game Week 3, and then obviously came off injured against Wolves. So is it time to consider Calvert-Lewin then? Lots of people are talking about him. 2 goals, 1 assist in his last 2. I think there's going to be divided opinions on this one. For me, his injury record does worry me, and he's not had a good season in about 4 or so years as well. Visser would have easily been my favourite of the forwards around that price, though obviously his injury definitely does increase DCL's appeal, given there is less options now. And then there's João Pedro, who does have that knock, and we're hoping he'll be fine for the next game week. If João Pedro's fit, then I'd rather have him over Calvert-Lewin personally. Welbeck's an option as well, but I feel like he's not got a great injury record either. If you've still got your wildcard though, then that also adds to Calvert-Lewin's appeal, as you could shift him on if he gets injured later. In fairness, last season Calvert-Lewin was involved in 33 of 38 games and he wasn't injured as much. So what about Vardy then? 2 goals in 4 games, which is decent for 5.6 mil, especially aged 37 now. I prefer Calvert-Lewin to Vardy, but they are close. They've both got good fixtures to come. Everton's are a bit better, since Vardy's away at Arsenal in Game Week 6. Leave a comment below of what your transfer plans are going to be this week. Thanks very much for watching and make sure you're subscribing. See you soon for the next one.